What episode of a television show was so bad that it nearly ruined the entire series for you? I stopped watching Bones after one of the sweet side characters was revealed to be the apprentice of a serial killer. Completely out of left field and totally stupid. Yeah, that was a weird shock value move. Didn't really work either. They do a better job further down the series with an actual gut punch with one of the main characters. Which sucked, but it has good real life reasons. I think I stopped when a bad guy left some bones that when assembled properly and scanned would then become a program in the computer that would overheat the computer, literally catching it on fire, in order to destroy data on the computer. Once Upon a Time went really bad for the later seasons, no doubt, but I could still stomach it. The musical episode though. At a certain point in that show I was just watching the Emma/Hook bits and skipping through the rest. Too bad that really fun relationship dynamic was buried under so many layers of candy-colored crap. Agreed. The last season was unwatchable. It was as if they tried to compel me to turn off. The King of the Hill episode where Hank doesn't realize what sticker price is when buying a new truck, and then attempts to vandalize the dealership. It was super out of character for Hank to not know how to purchase a vehicle and retaliate so childishly. It's a later season episode that I simply skip now. I kinda got the whole sticker price thing. Hank is a trusting guy and wouldn't gouge anybody for propane or propane accessories, so he doesn't think it would happen to him for a truck. The whole dismissing Peggy who did her research is totally in character because Peggy is usually way off the mark. The King of the Hill scene that jumped the shark for me was where they get a new TV and return it because it's too loud and they can't figure out how to use it. Hank is the type of guy that would sit down with the manual to whatever he just bought until he knows it front to back. That being said, Koth is up near the top of my list for perfect shows. Agreed, it doesn't make sense, but he didn't want to vandalize the dealership. I believe he just wanted to distribute flyers, but the other guy he was with blew up the cars and Hank was guilty by association. I can't pinpoint the specific episode, but basically, pick any episode from season 4 of Weeds. Up until that season, it was a great comedy/drama about this suburban widowed mum who was selling drugs to make money for her family. It poked fun at suburban life, and while it had wacky moments, it never felt too over the top. Then by season 4, they're like running away to Mexico and she's living with a drug lord and there are babies involved, and it just completely got cranked up to 11 in the worst ways possible. Luckily the season 3 finale also feels like a really good series finale. So watch the show up until that point and then walk away and don't look back. Weeds should have been ended when Nancy set her house on fire. I don't remember which season it was, but the season finale where their whole town burns down was definitely the beginning of the end. 2 last episodes of How I Met Your Mother deleted tons of character development and made the entire last season's story obsolete. Several years later and once a week my girlfriend still gets to listen to me rant about Barney and Robin breaking up making no sense, smiley face. I almost drop-kicked my TV when they revealed Tracy died, which I had suspected anyway, and the actual big twist is that Ted is in love with fucking Robin. Like if that was the point of the show I could have stopped watching after the pilot. That 70s show had 2. The first is when Eric and Donna broke up. I knew the entire next season was going to suck and focus on them both dating around before they got back together. The second was when Eric decides to propose to Donna. I knew that meant they weren't going to college and they were just going to be bums, and I was right. The last 3 seasons of that show were unwatchable. The first few seasons were perfect. Even the early first episodes really set the scene for the show. Being a teenager in the 70s living in suburban America with your stoner friends and the girl next door was so good until it became so bad. Lol, remember Andy? Worst character ever. How I Met Your Mother. She died the way she lived. Off screen. The biggest travesty. I started to get unreasonably angry once they showed her sick because I freaking knew that it was all to reunite Ted and Robin, and I was just so livid. The thing is, Nobody wanted them together at that point. If that was their endgame from the beginning, they shouldn't have made Barney and Robin a thing in the first place. Last episode of Merlin. Open space for a new plot, but it wasn't created, pouting face. Right? They built the entire series up looking forward to a future moment when Arthur would finally be realized as this great king, only for it to last like 5 minutes. Merlin is my neighbor. I always find it funny when this show is brought up. I haven't seen it, I just see his face on Netflix recommendations regularly. The third part of Sabrina, I gave up on EP3 of S3. It was just so awful for a series I was loving. The show lost all of its horror part, and became just about Sabrina being in love and a prick who only cares about Nick. I super enjoyed the first 2 parts. They had old school campy charm. Parts 3 and 4 were rough. I can't explain why, but Chaos feels like a spiritual sibling of How True Blood declined. Thank goodness, you saved yourself the pain and misery of season 4. Stanger things when Eleven runs away and chills with some street rats for some reason in an episode, hated it. Haha, I totally forgot about that. What a weird waste of an episode. You can literally skip that episode and be completely fine. Maybe you need a little bit of context, but that episode is unnecessary. When Family Guy killed off Brian. They went to all the trouble of animating the intro with Vinny only to use it on 1 or 2 episodes. They should have kept Brian dead for the rest of the season. We all knew he was coming back, but if you're going to try something new, actually try something new for a little bit. I honestly hated how they warped Brian's character. He used to be an alcoholic that was witty and the voice of reason for Peter. Now he comes off as a scumbag who is ridiculously selfish at times and pretends to be smart. That episode of that 70s show where Andy is introduced. The entirety of the Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life put me off the original series, which used to be my favorite comfort watch. I really wish Amy Sherman Palladino did not mess with something that originally ended on a good, satisfying note. Honestly, Rory's whole "I forgot I have this boyfriend and whoops I also keep cheating on him with Logan" thing was so irritating and made it hard to focus on anything else. Plus that ending was frustrating as hell too. I guess it brings it full circle, but it just didn't do it for me at all. The only redemptive part was Emily's arc. I wish the Yitlets were like a choose your own adventure, and I could just watch Emily's and skip all the rest. That once episode in Voyager where that one guy and the captain become giant lizard things after a failed tinkering with Warp 10. Like what? We found a way to travel Warp 10, yeah, but it devolves us, but the Doctor has a magic tube that cures that. Why they didn't just Warp 10 back to Earth then magic tube themselves remains a mystery. Came here to find this. Voyager does have a reputation for being so bad it's good, but that one takes the cake. They've even been breeding lizard babies and just abandoned them. I could never get over how they're being super casual afterwards, when they're turned back. Janeway is like haha always wanted kids anyway and everyone merrily goes back to doing whatever. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.